You feel this nervousness on the phone there?
Sir, I've been trying to make an urgent phone call up there.
Well, I don't think it's something I want to do on an overseas phone.
You gotta make some phone calls. Hang up the phone. Prank caller. Prank caller.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Packernet After Dark. This is the call-in show of the Packernet Podcast Network. If you'd like to call in, if you'd like to participate in the show, please feel free to do so. The phone number here is 608-501-0718. New callers go directly to the front of the line. We don't have any new callers, but we've got Kyle from Madison. So, Kyle, what's on your mind?
Ryan, what's up, man? Kyle from Madison.
What's up?
Yeah, I don't know what the weather's like where you're at, and I don't know why I even bothered looking at the freaking weather on my phone anymore, man. It was supposed to be some light rain today. I wake up and it looks like Siberia outside. It's like 30-mile-an-hour wind. We got 4 inches of snow. It's like, what? How can you be that bad at your job? It's like you're a weather forecaster.
Right.
I don't know. Anyway.
And you got machines doing your job for you. Just like, hey, machine, what's it going to be like? Freaking warm and cloudy. They're like, okay, it's going to be warm and cloudy today. And it turns out it's snowing. Like, frickin', what do I know, dude? I'm just reading what the machine says.
Looks like I'll be doing some shoveling today. Listen to your pod. But I've appreciated the discussion on Packernet this week, especially about just a lot of, hits and misses. And no doubt there's some, I always think about these prospects as kind of like having the Dow Jones arrow next to them,
Yep.
And after this week, there's no doubt there's some guys that like their arrow. Some of them are have like a half red down arrow. Others, it's like bright red. No. If Jaden Reed goes out and gets 2 touchdowns against the Niners or whatever, I think that red arrow is going to turn into a giant green up arrow, So it's not too late for some of these guys, but I do agree. What I wanted to say, though, is, look, we've got the 49ers Sunday. All right? There's no excuses. They're not sneaking up on anybody. This is the team that's eliminated you how many times now, right? This is your former mentor. There's no excuses. There's no trap game. There's nothing. If you can't get up for this game as a player right now, then I don't know what you're doing, right? Like, this should be all the motivation you need. If the Bears got you with a good, unpredictable game plan, and maybe you did a little look ahead to the Niners game, okay, maybe I'd buy that. But this team has no excuses for this game. I mean, they're not – be well rested. Where both teams have some health issues. Like, there is no built-in excuses for this one. So, in my mind, I mean, you got the Niners at home, finally, right? This is the measuring stick. You go out there and you beat up on the Niners, and a lot of us fans are going to probably turn our, arrows are going to go green in the up position. If you come out there and you do the same stupid crap and you play undisciplined, and you get blown out at home, then this is going to get ugly. So I really hope the Packers are focused and they're going to beat the damn Niners this week because, man, they really should. I don't know what's going to happen, but this is the measuring stick game so far. So go.
Yeah, it was kind of more of a measuring stick back when they were at full health, I guess, or at least partial, better health. Now we're kind of back into, you better win or you suck territory, which I talk about a little bit tomorrow. I'm not doing that this week. This is the 49ers. It's Kyle Shanahan. It's, we're basically in playoff times right now. Like every year you get to a point where it's like you're battling for your playoff life. That's where we're at right now. We're in good shape, but you're in a battle. And so I'm refusing to get myself in that headspace that I was in last week, where this is a walk in the park. Any team that isn't a piece of crap could walk in here and just easily rip off 40 points, and they shouldn't even be able to get a yard and all that. I'm not doing that this week. Like, first thing I say in tomorrow's podcast, more or less, is we got to just gear up, get on your lucky pair of underwear, and prepare as though this is actually a playoff game. This is a repeat of last year's playoff game against the 49ers. And it is a knockdown, drag-out brawl that you have to just win at all costs. I don't give a damn how you win. Once you're in the playoffs, by the way, style points matter a lot less. Usually because they're better teams anyways, but it doesn't matter. If you win in the playoffs, you're ecstatic. Guess what? It's playoff time. End of the season, we're looking at percentages, who's in, who's out. That's second half of the season is jockeying for position. You may as well be in the first stages of the playoffs. This is a playoff game. Let's go get it.
This is Nico. It's Thursday morning, my day off, so I'm doing some errands. I've been really enjoying listening to all the Bears fans cry and post the videos of them still screaming. It's been enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
Sunday I wasn't happy with the win because we played so bad again. But I tell you what, I think Kyle was very positive, very, very surprised. You didn't have to delete any of his words. And I think you said something like, they played the best they played and they still lost to us. And we played kind of crappy. Maybe not. I mean, all around it was a clean game, but let's face it, defensively we could have played a lot better. And then we won. So I think there's a lot to look forward to. And then, so now there's this big question about receivers. Who's the number one receiver? Who should we keep? Because Dobbs and Watson are coming up, Reed after him. And obviously you want to keep them all, but if you can't, I still say you keep Watson. And here's the reason. It's very simple. There's Romeo Dobbs everywhere. And as good as Jade Reed is, there's Jade Reed everywhere. There is not Christian Watsons everywhere.
Correct.
It is rare to find a dude that's that tall and that fast. And he looks like he has good hands now. And it looks like he's kind of fixed his stupid hamstring thing. That was his big issue last year.
Don't jinx it.
Nobody stretches a field like him. He is basically like Randy Moss clone. He's actually faster and taller than him with bigger hands. I think Randy had a little more swagger and maybe a little more confidence in the beginning. And I still remember those days when Randy was a rookie and he would just come and light us up. I hated it. It's a little hard to talk about. At least he never won a Super Bowl, especially with the Vikings. But I think we got to keep Watson. And yeah, if he can stay healthy, that's an excellent receiver to build on because nobody stretches a field like him. He is a freak. So obviously I'd still love to keep. And now, I'll be honest, if it came down to Reed and Dobbs, I'd rather keep Reed. And that's not really anything to do with Dobbs' attitude thing, which to me is enough to push him off the edge. Because let's face it, there's no way that's totally fixed. No one's attitude gets fixed like that. I mean, but I just think that 6-foot guys that are 200 pounds and can run good routes and catch like Dobbs aren't the hardest thing to find. But man, so anyways, very excited for this Niners game. We really don't have a problem with the Niners in the regular season. It's just the postseason. So let's hope we just can keep this positivity going. And sure, I'd like to beat the crap out of them like a redheaded stepkid. Sorry if you ever hear. But if not, let's just win by one, and I'm okay with that. And let's just keep this going. Go Pack, go, and the Bears still suck.
I'm having a weird flashback about that redheaded stepchild thing. I'm not positive. Maybe I'm misremembering this, but I thought I had used that phrase years ago. And somebody messaged me, was actually upset about it because I think they were like redheaded and a stepchild or something. I don't know. But yeah, that almost kind of surprised me because I'm like, it's a pretty common phrase. And also I don't give a damn. Like, I'll say whatever the heck I want. But yeah, you just reminded me of that. And I was like, I think I got in trouble for saying that one time. Yeah, and as far as the wide receivers, again, it's case by case. If Wick starts to pop off, you mean maybe not one game, but you see 2 games, we're going to be talking about him. Like, well, I mean, if you think about it, we always thought he was there. Maybe, it doesn't take long. 2-3 weeks of any one of these wide receivers having a day, and we're going to be talking about that's the guy getting the contract. It's just the way it's going to go. But that's why I said, I'm with you. I would pick Watson right now as the guy if we had to have the guy. Not that I want him to have, top money because I don't think he's earned that. Not yet, but the biggest thing that I want is please just continue doing it. Please just do it again. Just do it again. I'm not saying you have to have 150 yards. You don't have to have 3 touchdowns. Just have a good day. Don't start with the drops. Don't get injured. Be a reliable guy that is a deep threat that can stretch the defense and can also do a little bit of damage underneath when called upon. reliable hands, great 50-50 guy. But whatever. Bottom line, win, and then we'll reassess after the game.
Hey, Ryan, Beer Chief Benny here.
What's up?
Good morning. It's a beautiful Friday.
Oh, yeah.
Early in the morning. Anyways, I was just calling in. I know it's late in the week. Might not get on the episode, but I want to make some bold predictions for this freaking game against the Niners, okay?
Sure.
I predict that Quay Walker will get a forced fumble and Eric Stokes will get an interception. And the Packers will win once again by the skin of their nuts. They will, they'll get up late in the game, and then 49ers will be on offense, and then the defense will come through. I think we're going to see some better defense, and honestly, it's going to be a really close game, and it shouldn't be. And Brock Purdy might not even play. Bosa's probably not playing. Kittle might be out. But yeah, let's hear everybody's bold predictions. I love doing this. I do this a lot with my friends, so it's really fun to hear. So give me your bold predictions. See you. Go back, go.
Bold predictions. What am I? Bold predictions. How about minimum 3 sacks in this game? How about that? First one off the top of my head. They're going to try to do what they did with the Bears, plus you want to protect your quarterback, get the ball out quickly. I don't know. I just got a good feeling about a demoralized team and a hungry Packers team and a quarterback that's maybe not making the best decisions. Calling 3 sacks minimum in the game. How about that?
Brian, listen, dude. I'm just listening to this Packernet After Dark, and you played my phone call, and it just abruptly ended, and you said that my wife killed me, and it was nice knowing Beer Chief Benny. By the way, I was dying. That was hilarious. No, dude, so listen, I remember I told you I dropped my phone in the mop bucket. I was a little hammered on Sunday, and I was talking to my friend on the phone after the game, and I was just standing over there over the freaking mop bucket like an idiot, and I dropped it in there. Anyways, excuse me. I will continue my story. So my wife's like, what do you want to get? Right? And I'm like, I don't know. We don't have anything. She's like, you want to go get something? I'm like, sure. I'm like, let's try that new pizza place now. There's a new pizza place, right? Never been there before, whatever. And heard good stuff about it. Went in there, ordered the pizza. So I get in there, and first of all, there was an accident, on my way there, and they were blocking the freaking road that I could get there. So I had to turn around, go all the way back around. It took me longer to get there. The pizza was freaking not really warm anymore by the time I got there. But anyways, that's besides the point. So I go in there, and I'm being the lady's like, oh, hey, I was like, yeah, I'll pick up for Ben, and she's like, oh, yeah, we're going. She was real nice and everything, and then there was this guy that's sitting there. He must have been, one of the owner or whatever. It must have been, her and her husband. They were older, and he was kind of looking at me funny, dude, and, I'm wearing my Packer gear and stuff, and I pick up the pizza, and I didn't notice this when I walked in, but when I turned around to walk out, there was a freaking Bears flag on the wall, and I was like, I'm like, he was looking at me funny because I got my Packers hat on and my Packers gear on, and he's a Bears fan. He's still pissed off. So I just thought that was funny. I thought I'd tell that story. And I think from now on, whenever the Packers win, on Victory Mondays, I'm just going to order pizza and wear my Packer gear and walk in there and pick up my pizza.
It's a good idea. Especially if the Bears lose.
Show them what a real team looks like. The Green Bay Packers logo represents a real team, a real serious organization, unlike the Bears. But, just thought I'd give you an awesome little story there. So hopefully this makes it back on so everybody can hear that. So I love you. Go Pack Go.
Don't say that. Yeah, we got you. We caught you in time, so we got to hear that. Why don't we take a break? We'll come back and hear from Daniel in California.
Hey, Ryan, Dennis from California.
What's up?
Something I always wonder why, and it's just, I don't know, I kind of get it, but on a lot of the, like, Jaden Reed plays, we know Jaden Reed's fast, and he's got quick get-up speed and all that, and he's got some wiggle to him, and, good agility. Christian Watson, his rookie year, we gave him a couple end-arounds, and he got a touchdown on one where he hit 23 miles an hour where just nobody could get to him. Because he's just so fast, right? I think it was like a 20-yard, run just because, he literally just got the ankle and nobody could get to him. Like, how come we don't do that? I know the running plays, the receiver run plays are pretty much all figured out. So it's I'm not advocating we start running that all the time, but we just kind of gave up on that. And I always thought that was a very effective play for us. And even with the short crossers to Watson, he's not really put into position too often for that. He usually gets a lot of comebacks and a lot of, deep shots, but how come we don't put him on a drag just to let him get his speed to separate? I know we do that with Reed a lot, and I know we do that with Tucker Kraft a lot, but I don't know. They need to mix up where these guys have their options of route combination. Why don't we just let Tucker Kraft go deep? Just really throw everything off, because everybody knows Watson's going deep. But what if they let Tucker Kraft go deep? They'd be like, oh, they wouldn't even double team him. But Tucker Kraft, he's an animal. He's going to catch it. And he's going to stiff arm 5 guys on his way to the end zone. And everybody knows Jason Reed's going to go deep. We're going to get some sort of drag, so why don't we let him play running back or something? Just, I don't know. Just fun ideas, but really I want Watson to get more opportunities all over the field. And I just feel like the things that we've seen his rookie year, he wasn't given the same opportunities once we got the second draft class in because of different skill sets. But now, obviously injuries too, but Watson, I think he could be a complete receiver. He's got good hands. They just need to give him the opportunity. Change things up, let people move around. Go back, go.
Yeah, I think the complication, he has been uniquely bad at that stuff. Jaden Reed has had a lot of success with the end arounds. Christian Watson, maybe, one time that, like you said, you remember the one, maybe 2 times. I know he had a touchdown off of one. But he's been, I think, significantly worse. I know he's fast, but I don't know that that's the defining thing. I think his agility is quite poor. I think the other complication with Christian Watson is that it's kind of hard when you want to just get, one of those get the ball in his hand any way you can thing. That's not his thing. That's why, again, we tried it with the end around. It didn't work. I don't think he's necessarily the top guy you'd want on wide receiver screens. I think you'd be better off with somebody else doing that. Probably almost anybody else on the team as far as catching it, turning it upfield. Obviously, if he can get a little bit of space, he's got the speed to maybe take it a little further than the other guys would. I just don't think that's his best asset. Plus, he's a pretty good blocker, so they want him doing that instead. So I think it's difficult. I think they acknowledge, and they will. If it becomes very apparent that he is really going on a tear, Packers will do what they always do. They're going to start ramping him up, and then, of course, he's going to blow it, and then they got to start ramping somebody else up. But I would expect and anticipate they're going to try to force the ball to Christian a little bit more because he's just playing at such a high level. But how they do that, I don't really know, to be honest.
Yo, Brian, it's your uncle, Frico.
Yo.
Did you catch the Browns and Steelers on TNF?
Didn't watch it, but I saw the score.
I didn't catch the beginning of the game, just the end, the part of the third and the fourth quarter, and the snow. It was awesome. It was a really fun game to watch. And is it weird to say, is it bad to say that kind of jealous of the Browns? Is that a thing? Can anybody be jealous of the Browns? But to have that feeling, I don't know what their expectations are down there as fans. I'm sure they expect to win games, but they've had such a rough time down there. But to win that game like they won it against a team they're not supposed to beat, and a rival on top of it. I'm pretty sure that Pittsburgh and Cleveland are pretty big rivals, aren't they? Anyways, and after the game, everybody just so jacked up. Jameis Winston just jacked up. Everybody, even the commentators or whatever, that interview the players and whatnot. After everybody's doing snow angels and throwing snowballs, just freaking awesome. So I'm sorry. That's why I like to enjoy the things of the Packers we can enjoy, because sometimes they're few and far between. And I felt really good for the Browns fans that they got to get that one, because that one will stick in their minds for years and years and years. I'm sure of it. It wasn't the Super Bowl, but I'm sure it felt like the Super Bowl to them. It was their Super Bowl. So go Browns, I guess. But no, go Pack, go. Rico out. Y'all have a good weekend. Enjoy football. Later.
I had no interest in watching that. I'm certainly not a Jameis Winston fan, so I'm borderline annoyed that everybody's kind of worshiping the guy. Not only is he just kind of a weirdo and I find to be somewhat annoying, but he's kind of just a bad person in general. I mean, maybe he's kind of grown out of his past, which, people change. But anyways, I've never been a huge Jameis Winston fan. So the whole thing was just kind of dumb. But seeing some of the highlights and stuff, and everybody like, this is football. This is the epitome of football. It's like, maybe I missed out on a little something there. So it did sound like it was a very good game that I missed out on. I hadn't, especially since I assumed Steelers were just going to win. So what the heck what's the point? But hindsight, you know what I mean? But you're right. That perspective thing is a major component, and it's a thief of Packers fans' joy most of the time when you just expect to win most games, as opposed to being a bad team where you're expected to lose and you end up winning. It's so amazing, even if it's just you barely get by the skin of your teeth. Got to find a way to, it'd be nice if I could segment it where I can intellectually process and understand the fact that a narrow win like that isn't necessarily a good thing, but emotionally be nothing but absolute joy. I haven't figured out how to do that, but if I could, I think I would, and I think it would be best to just get super excited and then come back and be like, oh, actually, I suppose probably should do a little bit better than that, but wasn't thinking about that. I was just excited because my frickin' football team won. Apparently that's too hard to do for me.
Hey, Ryan, on one of the After Dark, you guys were talking about draft picks, and especially first round, and I was actually thinking about calling in about that as well. But I'll focus in specifically on last year's. And I know when we took Jordan Morgan, a lot of folks were surprised, and a lot of folks said he's really not a tackle, he's a guard. And we've quickly moved him to guard. Now, I don't know if the Packers have given up on him as a tackle. I know it's early to tell whether Morgan's going to be a good pick or not, but I wonder if we would have really used the 25th pick if he was going to be a true guard. And if that was just, again, we didn't call that right. And it's not bad to have a great guard for the next 10 years if that's what he turns out to be. But it just seems like going into that draft, we knew our cornerback position was dicey. I mean, we had Jair, who's never made it through a whole season. I shouldn't say never, but rarely makes it through a whole season. He's getting a little older. Clearly Stokes, there was lots of questions about him. Hasn't played well at all and has been injured, obviously, as well. Nixon, I don't think is strong enough to be a strong second cornerback. Valentine, again, the same position. So I'm just shocked. I was shocked at the time of the draft, but even looking now that either we didn't move up to try to get Mitchell, and maybe we couldn't have. Maybe we tried. He was 22nd. We were drafting 25th. But then the Lions leapfrogged us, and they moved up to 24 to get Terrion Arnold. I don't know if we would have taken him anyway. And then when you look at the second round, obviously Cooper DeJean is playing very well, and everyone was high on him and thought he'd fit well with the Packers. And some other good cornerbacks that went around the early 40s were Kool-Aid and Lassiter and Melton, and I don't think those guys are lighting the world on fire, but it just felt like a real miss. And yeah, our first rounds have not been very good. The other point I wanted to bring up was all off season, there was this talk about Packers on a true number one, and I was okay with that. I like the idea of having 4 number twos. The problem is they're not playing like number twos, and definitely not playing like number twos consistently. You can't say Wicks has been a number 2 at all this year. He's like a number 4. And Jaden had his moments, and Romeo has had his moments, and Watson's finally, starting to catch fire. But I'm still like 4 number 2s, but the problem is you got to play like 4 number 2s, and they haven't done that at all. So in that case, then you do need a strong number 1. With maybe 1 number 2 and a couple 3s or whatever. But hopefully they all kind of step up. They've had their moments, but to your point, they are not consistent. I still like the potential. The last game was weird because Watson was awesome, but the other guys, no one stood out. It was.
3 minutes. Here we go.
I need to start setting my timer. And I just always have to have closure. I can't just end without getting back to you.
I get it.
So hopefully Kraft steps up against the 49ers and our defense does something. I'm a little concerned about the game, but I'm glad we're at home, and hopefully we can knock the 49ers pretty much out of the playoffs. So go Pack, go.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly early to start trying to decide, whether it was a good draft class or not, especially when we've had so many injury issues and guys just not being able to be on the field at all for various reasons, mostly because there's just no room for them on the depth chart. But yeah, it's always painful to not get production out of your first round pick and watch other guys like Cooper DeJean and whatever have good starts to their career. I mean, I've pointed out several people as we've gone through and looked that had really good rookie years and then just completely crapped the bed and never good again. So we will have to see. We'll see how these things all pan out. And in fact, I don't even know if Cooper DeJean is doing a good job. I know he was and had like a couple good games. Sometimes you hear that stuff. It was 2-3 good games and then they just fall apart right after that. So, but yeah, I mean, we've been talking about a lot. Football teams need a lot of good players to remain football teams, unless you're the Chiefs, and then you got a good coach and a good quarterback, and then you can lose all your good players, and it doesn't really move the frickin' needle at all. But yeah, hopefully we get a big day from Tucker and the rest of the crew and end up having a pretty good game. We'll see how she goes. You never know, man. Might be a disaster, might be a blowout, might be a close game. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. I always feel like you have a good idea, like you've analyzed it from every angle. And then Sunday rolls around and the realization that you have no idea what's about to happen hits you, and you're like, oh, Lord. Oh, Lord, I am nervous.
Hey, what's up? It's Aaron from Eau Claire. I don't know if this will make it on the Packernet After Dark, but for the game, but there's 2 reasons that I want the Packers to absolutely smack the 49ers in the face and beat them and kill their hopes. 1, because I think it would be a tremendous boost for our team's confidence, and I think it would be, in a lot of ways, like a huge mental victory, just to know that they can beat the team that kicked them out of the playoffs last year. And 2, if we beat the 49ers, there is a very good chance that the 49ers season is done.
They're pretty cooked
in terms of playoff hopes.
Yeah, I mean, they got Buffalo after this week, so they dropped to maybe 15%, could be worse, could be a little better depending on the other games. But then you figure probably going to lose to Buffalo next week. They've got to be less than 10%. I mean, they're basically done.
I know there's still a chance, obviously, for them to get into the playoffs, but if they lose, their chances go down quite a bit. Although, I guess in their division, if the Cardinals slip up, I guess that's their way in. But if they're trying to be a wild card, and the Cardinals keep winning and having a better record than them, I don't see that they would get in with I don't see that they would get in with the fact that what am I trying to say? The Vikings and the Packers and the Lions all have really good records, and I don't know if they could get in with a 9-8 record, even if they got that far. So I don't know. I'm just really hoping that the Packers can just completely stomp out any hopes and dreams that the 49ers fans and the players have. I really want Kyle Shanahan to go home feeling terrible about his life. Not about his life. Terrible about the game. How about that? I don't want to be mean-spirited, but I do want Kyle Shanahan to feel like a failure at football after the game on Sunday. And I want all the players to feel that way, and I want the fans to feel like they are done for, because the fans have been talking trash about the Packers for years. I just want them to get a little piece of their own medicine. So yeah, that's what I hope. That's what we all hope.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not just a joke among 49ers fans. It's a joke for everybody. You know, Packers win, and it's like, oh, yeah, enjoy losing to the 49ers in the playoffs, right? So beating the playoffs and the 49ers not even going to the playoffs, it feels pretty good. The only real downside here, unfortunately, is that we're going to have a hard time demoralizing them, because I kind of have a feeling they may be coming into this game demoralized. They may not. They might be fired up and raring to go because, you know, their playoff hopes are on the line. Possibly could jump up above 50% chance of getting in if they can win this game. It's a big deal. But, I mean, when you're struggling and the fans have turned on you and all this stuff, and then you find out Bosa and your quarterback are not going to be in the game, it's hard. Even if you want to try to psych yourself up for this, it's hard to not be completely demoralized. All right, let's take our final break. We'll come back. We got Uncle Rico and Pac-Man Jersey Jim, and that's it, pending any calls sneaking in here. Take a break. We'll be right back.
Yo, Ryan, it's your uncle, Rico.
Yo.
Hey, I was just listening to the pod from a couple days ago, and you're talking about the Jets and how their owner's a lunatic or a jagoff, whichever. Sure. Anyway, if that stuff is like 10% true, I'm amused. What the hell? So Aaron Rodgers, he's out there in this situation, which sounds like a total shit show, and yet he doesn't warn off Davante Adams from coming there. Mm-hmm. Like, hey, buddy, old pal, everything's great out here.
Right.
Come on out to New York. It's all sunshine and roses or whatever. What an idiot. God, those people are also friggin' ignorant. They deserve what they get. Every one of them. Let's go play for the Jets, because we can beat the odds. For one, my career wasn't over. Yeah, Rogers, your career's over. It was over before you went there. And then you bring your buddies into it. Like, come on, guys. Save my butt. What a bunch of morons. All right, go Pack, go. Gonna quit the herd on the Niners this weekend, hopefully. Sounds like we're getting some advantages with Purdy and Bosa out. So hopefully we don't step on our you-know-what there. Go Pack, go. Go Pack, go.
Yeah, that's a good point with Davante Adams. I hadn't really considered that, but you know, I mean, you could try to give him an out and be like, well, if I get Davante here, then everything will be fixed and we'll be fine. But, I mean, do you think he told him? Do you think he talked to Davante? He's like, bro, don't do it. Like, I'd love for you to be here and all that, but you need to talk to the team and tell them, don't send me there, because I don't want to go there. Because it's a dysfunctional disaster. I don't know. Maybe he said that. Probably not, though. Plus, I mean, I would have to assume Rodgers is a big part of the reason for the push for Davante, right? I mean, I know there was an article that said it was Woody Johnson's doing. I understand that, but Woody Johnson did it. Disregard the main point of what that was that there was a negotiation going on between the Jets and the Raiders, and the owner, Woody, basically just pushed and was like, I don't give a crap. Just pay the man what he wants. We're going to go above market rate because I want the guy. Way before that is the part of how we got to this discussion to begin with. And I cannot imagine Rodgers was not a part of that equation saying, yes, that would absolutely put us into contention.
Hey, Ryan. How you doing? Packernet.
Hey.
Listen. All right. What I'm hearing, we got Purdy out, possibly McCaffrey, if I'm not mistaken.
Bosa.
With that, I think we should have a good chance to win. On the other side of it, like, do we really have to root for, like, their best guys to be out? You know what I mean? Like,
I have to root for it, but I'll take it.
Are we an elite team or not? I don't believe we are. I think we're getting lucky at the skin of our teeth, which is going to be the next text I send you, or, next message I send you. People are, like, super high on the Packers right now. I don't get it. I don't get it. Maybe I'm just more realistic. Not pessimistic, not optimistic. I'm trying to be in a realistic here. Anyways, go Pack, go. Peace.
Well, and that was something I mentioned, I think, on this podcast. Maybe it was tomorrow's. I don't know. I think it's tomorrow's. There's going to be an element for some fans of the Packers can do no right in this game. Because if they win, even if they win by a decent margin, obviously if it's a massive blowout, it changes things. But even if you win by a decent margin, there's going to be an element of, I'm not impressed. That doesn't make you good. And I just don't want to go down that road where no matter what you lose. Bullcrap. This is a dominant team who has beaten almost every team that's come across its path, despite having very serious struggles. Quarterback's been out for however long, and I mean, there's a lot that's been thrown at this team, and to be as good as they are and to go up against the 49ers, injuries or not, going to be a very tough opponent with a really good game plan and everything else. I don't want to get in the headspace of already predetermining that I'm not going to be impressed no matter what happens. Don't do that to yourself, would be my recommendation, Pac-Man Jersey Jim. Don't put yourself in a situation where they can only disappoint you. And if they come out winning, you're saying, yeah, well, I'm not impressed because you still haven't done it. Because let's remember, the Lions have done almost nothing this entire year but beat the crap out of bad teams. That's it. That doesn't make them a bad team. They're a good team. Both of those things are true. They have done almost nothing but beat up the absolute worst teams in football. And yet, I believe they're still a very good team. How good? I don't know, but I think they're pretty good. And in fact, that's what DVOA is for. It's supposed to help you kind of gauge those things. They have Detroit as number 1. They have us as the 4th best offense in football. Overall, I don't know, top 10 something. So are the Packers a good team? I think they are. I do. Now, if they lose to the 49ers, that's a different conversation, right? I mean, there's an element of, yes, stuff happens, but there's also an element of, okay, well, you're probably not a top 10 team anymore, and we got to have a separate conversation. But like I said, don't get yourself into a headspace where it's like, if we win by 6, if we win by 11, whatever, we go, yeah, but I mean, if they had their starters, look at the interception, look at this, look at that, look at all these negative things. Bosa and Purdy would have made the difference, and we probably lose that game. Let's just not. You know what I mean? Let's just not. That would be my recommendation.
Hey, Ryan, I'm back. Pac-Man. How you doing?
Good.
That 3-minute monster's never gonna get me. Never will.
Take a wild guess how long he talks in this message.
That's the other thing. The interception monster's never gonna get me either. My son was asking me the other day, he's like, who do you think is the best quarterback that the Packers ever had? Do you think Jordan Love could be the best quarterback ever? I'm like, I don't think so, son.
It's a tall order.
Yeah, well, why would you say that? I'm like, listen, I grew up watching Don Majkowski. I was about 10 years old watching the Magic Man. You remember him, right? His career ended with more interceptions than touchdowns. Then we got Brett Favre, and I was like super psyched. He won more games through a lot of interceptions. I don't understand why people are thinking that Love is the next thing. If you look at the numbers, and I kind of crunched them today, just in that short sample that you were talking about, we don't have a big enough sample size to judge anybody. Judge, yeah. Thinking about my Yankees, that guy sucks too. Love is more on pace to be with Mikowski than he ever will be with Rodgers or Favre. Their win record is ridiculous. Their interception ratio is especially Rodgers. He never threw interceptions, but so I want kind of like let the kid down in a nice way, and that's the other thing I want to say. Last week I was like a little down on the Packers, even though they won, and you got a lot of bickering. Like, oh man, we still won. Yeah, I get it. I've been doing this for like 40 years, so, maybe I set the bar a little high, growing up with Favre and Rodgers kind of thing. Maybe I have to set the bar a little lower, so like when we do win against teams like the 49ers who don't have the quarterback or their running back.
3 minutes, got him. Let me just comment here because he's got another almost full 3 minutes. So I don't know. I mean, there was no PFF during the Don Mikowski era. I mean, I can just go based off stats. You mentioned he had more interceptions than touchdowns. For his career right now, 7,300 yards, 7.5 yards per attempt, 56 touchdowns, 27 interceptions. Even for the season, which has been bad with interceptions, real bad, 16 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. And that's with just the worst streak of all time. He's got 3 interceptions and 1 touchdown the last 3 weeks. That's freaking brutal. With that said, just a couple things to point out. First of all, last year he had an 84 PFF grade. That's up there with some of the top guys. I mean, that's a good season for Rodgers, even for a full season, not even including, the second half where he was a genuinely elite guy. I think I'd put it all together and it would have been like one of Rodgers' top 3 seasons if you just look at how he performed in the second half of last season. Another thing, too, though, if you look at last year, and I'm not necessarily excusing it, but just to be clear, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, his first 7 games were not good. His highest grade in the first 7 games was a 68. How many has he played this year? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's played 8 games. He has 1, 2, 3, 4 games, 5 games that are 70s. One is 69.9. I'm calling that a 70. 5 games that are in the 70s. Another game that's at a 68. So really, he had 1 bad game against LA, 44, an average game against Philly, and the rest have all been good. And he's only played in about as many games as last year. He was just bad, right? It was 62, 65, 63, 68, 53, 60, and 63. And then it was 83, 74, 65, 86, 92, 58, 66, 77, 91, 83, 93. I mean, if he just finishes the season closer to this, he is going to end 2024 with probably a grade in the mid-80s, possibly even in the 90s, because he had such a much better start to this season. I know it doesn't feel like it. Better start to this season than he did last season. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but just to be clear, if he finishes stronger than he has started, he's going to end with a very good year. The yards are going to be just fine. The touchdowns should be fine. Interceptions would be a little bit high, but I mean, last year, what did he go? I don't remember how many touchdowns, but I think he had like 1 pick or 2, I guess, counting the playoffs, I think, but like 1 pick through the rest of the regular season. So we'll see. I mean, is that on par with Rodgers? I mean, Rodgers got off to a really slow start, but very quickly. I mean, by 2009, he was fully in the groove. So 2023, did he get off to a slow start? No, he got off to a better start than Rodgers did. 2024 is probably a worse year than Rodgers 2009. I can't speak to Brett Favre necessarily. Again, I don't have the same metrics that go back that far, or Mikowski or anybody else for that matter. But as far as do you need to lower your standards, I don't know. It depends what we're talking about. I don't think he's been a bad quarterback. On the other hand, I'm not going to tell you to be okay with, as I said, 3 games with 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. I'm not going to tell you to be okay with that. So the other thing that's super annoying, he has 3 turnover-worthy plays. I mean, this guy is the most unlucky guy in the world. In fact, he has 11 interceptions and 11 turnover-worthy plays. How absolutely insane. Not to say that, these things aren't just terrible, but can a brother get a dropped interception ever? I mean, there are so many guys that we see like Pat Mahomes and everybody else where it's like he should have 20 interceptions by now, but everybody drops his interceptions. Jordan Love has 11 turnover-worthy plays and 11 interceptions. So I actually think his interception numbers arguably, and again, I don't mean to defend because some of them are so ugly. Those 2 touchdowns that were against him were some of the worst decisions ever. But, I still think it looks worse than it potentially is a little bit. But let's get to part 2 of Pac-Man Jersey Jim, and then we're going to get out of here.
Did the 3-minute monster get me, or did you hear the last of that? I don't even know. I don't even hear the beats.
Gotcha.
But anyway, Pac-Man here.
What's up?
The other thing I want to talk about was how we're going to deal with the 49ers tomorrow. Hopefully, they came up with a good game plan. I hear that they're, probably from you, I hear that their run defense isn't so great. So if we can find a way to maybe, create a little separation for Jacobs, that would be great. Establish a run game, I don't remember last time we ever actually had a good run game. I thought we were going to have one with Eddie Lacy and all that shit back in, 2013 or whatever. But, sorry, delete button.
Lazy. Go ahead. Just don't do it again, please.
But yeah, I want to see an old school, Packers game, man, where we're just grounding and pounding and everybody cares. It's just like you said this week, it's, there's no consistency. It's just, everybody's just like, not good. And that's the other point I wanted to make. Hopefully the 3-minute monster doesn't get me on this stuff. The reason I am so upset with the Packers is you've seen what they can do, right? It's like when you have a kid in grade school and you're like, oh, wait, what are you struggling in? Oh, you're struggling in that? Oh, yeah, no problem. And you give them a little boost and they get an A. And they come back a month later and they get a D in it. You're like, what the hell's wrong with you? When you know they can be better, you get really pissed off about it. Because you know they're smarter than that. You know they're better than that. And when they go below that bar, you get pissed off. That's where I'm at. So, anyways, go Pack, go. Love you guys. Have a good night. Take it easy.
Yeah, they're definitely underperforming, as we've been talking about quite a bit. But again, it's just like everything else. I'm just waiting to see what next week brings, because next week's going to be, this week, today, whatever, tomorrow is going to be, it's going to be different. In what way, I don't know, but something's going to be different, and we're going to have a different view of the team, and that's going to continue every week from here on out. At this point, the 3 biggest things. Number 1, stay healthy. Number 2, protect your record, right? That just means find ways to win games. And then number 3, get hot at the right time. That's it. Those are the 3 things. Everything else, it's not quite secondary, but everything else is less important than those things. It really just has to do with confidence that we're going to get hot at the right time. That's about it. All right. It's been a long day. You guys have a good rest of your day. I will talk to you tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye-bye.